And we are back for another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Travis Cunningham joining me, Jonathan Howe. And this show is, of course, presented by what do we got? Bicknell Racing Products. We got Ohsweken Speedway. And of course, don't forget to grab your tickets for Saturday nights at Merrittville Speedway from our friends at Vansickle Pet Valu in PV on the lane. You'll hear more about how to do that a little later on in the show. Travis, I completely forget what episode we are on. I want to say 59. Is that where we're at? Or did we do that last week?
Yeah,
59, right?
59. What do you got? Who's number
I
59?
forgot to look, but I'm going to say who have do I have a 59? I'm trying to think at Merrittville if anybody's running 59 this year that I'm missing. I don't. Am I missing one that's obvious? I don't think I am. I got a 49. I got a 69 in the Sportsman. I know that. I've got a 49 in the Hoosier Stocks. I don't think I've got a 59.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like I'm having a real hard time thinking of it too. But the first one that comes to me is Gary Kloot, NASCAR Pinty Series, and they have a race on dirt, so that
Okay.
counts.
Okay. Well, if we're gonna count that, yeah, I'm down to count Gary. Like, I was trying to think locally
I'm
or
just counting it
something,
because
but
it's a hard one. But
yeah.
there was a 410 sprint car back in the day. Aaron Crocker drove it for a while. My Aaron Crocker story where I hit her, she was driving that car. I just realized that now because I Googled dirt racing 59s. I forget who owned it. Phoenix Racing 59. Bunch of drivers drove it. Jack Hoddenchild, he won in it. So there's a good one. That car was
Is
pretty
that the
famous for a
same?
while.
Is
It's like
that
a
the
yellow
same?
car.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the same 50 or Phoenix Racing that ran like the one car
Oh,
in
I'm
Xfinity
not
and
sure on that.
that entered the?
I want to say probably
Because
not, but I could be wrong.
I was gonna say because didn't Brad Keselowski's first win in Cup Series come for a Phoenix Racing? I wonder if it's the same
Uh,
one.
yeah, there was definitely a Phoenix Racing in NASCAR, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if they're the same one.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure I
know.
have a diecast. There's one at Lincoln Speedway, Central PA guy too. Now that I see the picture, Jim Siegel.
Okay, nice. I feel like we had a 59 recently, but
Oh,
now
there
I can't.
probably is like for sure, but it's
Again,
not.
fans, if you
Interesting.
can think of a 59, make sure you comment on our
That's a
Facebook
tough one.
posts. And
We're gonna
I
start getting
can't think of
into
one.
tough ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We're as soon as we get into those high numbers, and then what do we do when we hit the triple digits? Because there's gonna be almost like
Oh,
nobody.
well,
Like
lots of them.
other
There
than,
is some triple digits.
I mean, we're gonna
Like
have.
I'm pretty sure there's a 100 from Merrittville, so I'd have to do some thinking on who it was. I know I've seen the picture a million times, and I know
Didn't
123 Robbie Krull,
I was gonna say 111 Brett Senek.
one and Robbie Rounce back in the day. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, let's just focus on getting through episode 59. And let's start on Friday night at Ohsweken, where once again you found yourself with an 11th place finish in the
Yeah,
360s, but you had an even more adventurous run than you've had in the past.
it was pretty weird because week before I drew 60 something. I think I drew one less. I think it was 61 last week, 60 this week. Started sixth in the heat, finished fifth, exact same as the week before. Started 12th, exact same as the week before. And then in other news, the top three ended up being the exact same as the week before as well. But anyway, started 12th, got up to 11th or 9th. I can't remember what it was on that restart. But anyway, there was a bit of a bunch up at the front of the field. They got warned for brake checking, so if it's getting warned over the radio, it might have been a brake check, which if that's what it is, I'm not really too happy with that. That's not like just go. But anyway, ended up getting spun out and had to go back to tail. Got up to about 16th or so, but I just got lapped by D-Dubs. And so the caution came out, and then I was the first car in the lead lap. So I was thinking of pulling off there until that came in. I remembered, oh, yeah, we're NASCAR now. We got the lucky dog. And yeah, it saved me. Got another caution. And I had worked up to like 10th or 11th in line by then as a lap down car. And then I had to let a whole bunch of people by again. Had to go back to like 17th or something. Let a bunch of people that already passed by again. But whatever, I already knew how to pass them. And I did it again. Got back up to pretty much where I was, 11th. And so, yeah, tons of cars passed, but only got credited for +1.
Hey, you know what? That's still a pretty successful night, even for getting spun out and stuff. You were able to bring it home cleanly, so I'm proud of you for that one. That's a good one. As far as who you mentioned, the winner, Dylan Westbrook. Other front runners, Mike Bowman and DJ Christie. Josh Hansen finished fourth, and Liam Martin rounded out your top five. Big mover from Liam Martin. Started
And
22nd,
Mike
up
Bowman.
17 spots to fifth, and yeah, Bowman was started 16th and went up to second. So that's two very big moves at the front of that field. Even Ryan Turner went from 13th to seventh. Now that I'm looking at it, so
When the track's
man,
slick, you can pass. That's all
yeah,
I got to say.
it was what a field, man. Every time I look at that field, it is so impressive how many good cars are in the 360s weekly at Ohsweken. We mentioned one of these drivers, Mike Bowman. He had himself one heck of a weekend, honestly, but focusing on just his Friday night, finished second in the 360s and then goes out and wins the Oakwood Transport Action Sprint Tour West Stop for Ohsweken Friday night in the crate sprints. Wins that one over McDeman, John Cadman, Steve Murdoch, and Daryl Peltier.
Yep. Uh, pretty. Cadman's the story there. First big good run in the sprint car. Got started on the pole, I think. But
Yep.
hey, man, lots of good cars behind him. Almost 40 cars in the pits. Lots of good cars on the trailers. So just to hold on to third was a big deal for him. And probably see a win at him eventually. That's for sure.
Yeah, and big shout out to Steve Murdoch too. Went from 22nd to fourth, so that was an impressive
Track slick,
18
you can
spot
pass.
gain for him. Yeah, wild stuff there. The Gales Cash Blast 54 in the Middleport Mechanical Thunder Stocks, 54 laps for the Thunder Stocks, and it's the big dog Ryan Beagle coming out on top of Dave Bailey, Ryan Dinning, Kyle Wirt, and Logan Schwedick. Uh, Good on Beagle,
I
man.
love him.
Like the guy's good. He is like I feel like I don't want to say he's the king of Ohsweken right now in Thunder Stocks, but he
You
kind of
can't say
seems like
that, but
the
like he's the king of the
he's
big money. That's too big. The two big money shows. I'm pretty sure, like the one at Merrittville,
yeah,
and then
that's
now he's
true.
got this one.
Yep,
He's the
Peacemaker 420 and this
he's
one.
Money Ryan. That doesn't work as well.
There's got to be something to do with
Yeah, we got to
dogs and
think of that.
money or something like
He's already
that.
the big dog. We don't need something like that, but he's definitely the ringer on the big money shows. Pockets are
For
heavy.
sure. And early on the night, the HRW Automotive Mini Stocks. This guy just loves winning on his first time at racetracks for the season. Alex Riley gets the win over Tim DeBoer, Ryan Hiller, Jeff Elsliger, and John Lubeck. And shout out to that 17. We had Alex on the show earlier in the year, and I don't. I know he's gone. He missed out on the Merrittville show. He might be gone for longer than that. I'm not sure how many weeks he's taken off in that 17. But when he does show up to racetracks, in particular his first nights of the year at those racetracks, he usually runs pretty dang well. So in the mini stocks, still lots of diversity in that class, no matter which track you go to.
Yep. That's my favorite thing about that division. Is that every week so far is all the diversity there's been this year, because last year it was the same guy all the time. Not
Anything
that.
else?
Hmm.
I was just gonna say, I was interrupting you there. I was gonna say, is there anything else you want to touch on from Ohsweken besides the diversity there?
Mm, no, just that it's a pretty cool night coming up this Friday. Tammy 10 and Little Ben 110 Remembrance Night. So
Yes.
uh why am I Harold Brown and Harvey Lennox. They're both H's. That's why I was getting confused there. So yeah. Tammy 10, my sponsor, that's Harvey Lennox and Mitch Jake Brown, Doug Brown's dad. And yeah, I've raced against both those kids, and they're not kids anymore, but yeah, I've raced against Mitch since he was a kid, literally a teenager. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just a big family in racing in the Ontario region. And like Doug Brown ran the cast car circuit back in the day as well, and then like weekly cast car at Delaware. I know that he was more of an asphalt guy, but the boys kill it on dirt. And I think the grandpa did both. Of course, he did back in the days like that.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot easier
Yeah,
to do, so go back and forth too back then.
yeah,
Let's switch gears over to Merrittville Speedway, where we had no mods on Saturday night, but we did have the Sportsman. And I don't know when this is going to come out versus when I get to the Merrittville race report this week, but there will be a Merrittville race report if anybody's hearing this and wondering. They're probably going to come out both days, honestly. Just have been a busy week and haven't got the chance to film that yet, but I will recap that for the Merrittville socials. But if you're tuned in now, let's give you a recap, a rundown. Curtis Friesen started from pole in the Right Choice Auto and Leisure Sportsman and got the win over Jay Mallory, Cody McPherson, Taylor Vanderzanden, and James Friesen. We talked to Mac DeMann about the highs and lows of racing, and Curtis Friesen, another guy demonstrating the highs and lows of racing. We were talking about it last week on the podcast. Him pulled into the infield in the go-kart track at Merrittville, getting out of his car and yelling at Rob Pitts and pointing
Oh
some
yeah,
fingers. There's hand gestures, and then he turns around the next week and instead of being parked on the infield, he's parked on the front stretch. So shout out to Curtis.
yeah. Uh, that's 2 years in a row with a win in that car now. So definitely good job for Curtis there.
Yeah, I wonder if that. And I was thinking back, almost probably the same point in the season because I almost feel like we had Curtis on this time like last year. So I feel like he almost won the same race or something like that. But it'd be kind of funny to go back and check the archives to see how that breaks down. I will also point out there was a large multi-car incident that was triggered on a restart where uh, I'm going to say, well, it was just easier to say which cars weren't involved in the wreck as opposed to which ones were. In total, there were, what is this, 7 DNFs on the night for the Sportsman. And I think most of them were all related to that incident. It was tough, man. I kind of all started with a restart gone a little sideways. Looked like Billy Bleach Jr. got the jump from third place to try to get to the inside of leader Friesen when Friesen got loose on the gas. And then when he tried to correct and cut the car back across the racetrack, he either was going to make contact with Bleach or Bleach lifted and maybe got run into from behind. That stacked everybody up on the restart. Not a great situation, but either way, we sorted it out. But yeah, when you wreck the majority of the field on a restart, it makes for some big cleanup.
Wouldn't be the first time I've seen some because like Merrittville, that's the tightest part on the track. So and those cars, when you get jumbling, the wheels can get tangled pretty easy. And yeah, that's what happened there. Been there.
In the Action Sprint Tour, we had Mike Bowman get the win over Al Slate, Johnny Miller, Tanner Podwinski, and Ashton Van Every as well, rounding out your top five. Good run from Al Slate, who started second, finished second in the 2S. For those who like numerology, that was bound to happen. And I also say good run for Johnny Miller, who the night before that 21 machine was piloted by Trayton Lapsevich, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We did forget to touch on that in the Ohsweken thing. So yeah, Lapsevich ran it Friday night and went pole to third in his heat. Had to start 17th and then clipped the inside barrier. But and kind of pulled to me. But when I thought it was funny when he does it, it's okay. But like when I do it, everyone makes fun of me. Like, come on, someone should bust him a little bit.
Well, I will say that I think he gets the a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because that's
Why?
probably what his first sprint car race.
I know, but like his thing's rolling the bottom at pavement track.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, either way, I think Trayton jumped into that sprint car trying to get some experience on the dirt ahead of
I know, I'm just busting on him.
Ushwick. You got to bust on him with the season he's having in the Pinty series right now. Like he's almost untouchable. It took that
Yep.
what the '96 car being all cheated up and those penalties upheld. So I
Right.
stand by the statement of that car was very much cheated up. When you try to
Yeah.
do a burnout and then it doesn't really work because you got the traction control still on,
Whoops.
Whoops. Anyways, that was kind of funny.
But yeah,
But
then Johnny Miller got in that thing.
yeah, and
Sorry.
he had himself a great night.
Yeah, but he had a terrible night Friday because Tyler Willard, who's fresh into the crate sprints, had a rough night, and he as well, like uh, like his throttle stuck and ended up flying right through Johnny Miller, and he felt terrible. He went over and said something, said sorry and all that, and they fist bumped on the track. And then
Yeah,
yeah, Johnny got in that 21 and didn't clip the infield barriers and finished third. I was pumped. I love
yeah.
watching Johnny on the Friday Night Thunder, learning about him.
Well, and it's a good like rebound for a night too, right?
Great
When you
rebound.
get kind of
You
taken
need
out like
those.
that, you need those. You need those nights where it's like, I can do this, and sometimes I just have bad luck, right? I think every driver goes through that period of sometimes you're the bugs, sometimes you're the windshield, and it's always better to be the windshield, but not everybody can be the windshield all the time. Taking a look over at the Hoosier stocks, let's catch up with our guest tonight, Jason Fontaine, getting back into victory lane. Now, I
That's
have
why
to
he's on the
confirm this
show.
with them. Yeah, you win, you get on. That's kind of how this thing
That's
works.
the way it works.
We're just like Chip Ganassi. We like winners.
Yep.
Jason, though, don't know if you know this, Travis. I mean, we're gonna have to try to confirm this with him, but I believe this is his first Merrittville win since 2016, is what we kind of figured out in the booth. So it's been a long time coming. The
I've seen him
guy's
win
finally got
Humberstone like a bajillion times, and I know
right.
like the Merrittville ones aren't quite as frequent, but I know he's got other Merrittville wins for sure.
Hmm.
But I feel like it might be a little sooner than that. But I don't think he won there last year for sure. But
I could have sworn I called him winning one at Merrittville, but maybe it's just one of the Humberstone ones that I'm
yeah,
thinking
I've
of.
seen
But
him win lots at Merrittville too. But I've seen him win like 10 in a season at Umby.
yeah,
Yeah,
so we'll catch up with him. We'll get to the bottom of that story, but he wins it over Dave Bailey. Jason was super emotional in victory lane too, and rightfully so. Holding off one of the best around right now, Dave Bailey, to get that monkey out the back. Pete Reed goes 13th to third. Ryan Dinning finishes fourth, and Mark Fawcett ends up with the top 5 as well in the 32 machine. Hoosier Stocks, heavy hitters throughout that field, man. It is good stuff from them this season. Want to take a look over at the mod lights. Same song, different verse. Brent Bigelow wins another one over Josh Slater, RJ Pitts, Rob Meisner, and Chris Watson, your top 5 over there. Brent Bigelow just on a tear right now. 7 wins on the year at Merrittville already, 5 in a row. And that was not where his winning stopped on the weekend, but we'll get to that in a second. And just to close things out, the Vansickle Pet Valu PV on the lane, 4 cylinders. Your top 5 over there: Olivier Larocque, Randy Alway. Want to give a shout out to Randy Alway, who I think he's had asked both of us to be on his show, and then I don't know.
I haven't seen any of those videos in a while though. Of
Yeah, I
his
know, right? So, but it is race season, so maybe that's more of like an
for
off-season
sure.
thing for him. Either way, I
We'll
got to
get
give
there.
him a shout out because he has really been strong this year. That 34 car, like, I would go as far as to say he is the most improved driver of the year so far in the 4 cylinders, I
I
think.
like it. I like it.
Um, and it's not even like he was, bad last year or anything in that 34 car, but I
No,
just feel like there was a lot of stiff competition. And this year he is a part of that competition as opposed to chasing it. So good for him. Kyle Rothwell piloting the Alex Riley 17, finished third. Cole Hardy ends up fourth. And Mason Anderson, another back-to-back top 5s for Mason Anderson, another driver who could easily be a part of that
yeah, he's got
conversation
to be in
for.
there too. Because when he first started, he was trolling
Mhm.
around, getting lapped in heats and stuff. And I love to see drivers like that improve.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a performance. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I got to start taking pictures of it, but I'm pretty sure he is one of the guys who's sporting a Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast
I believe
sticker
you're.
on the race
I
car.
think I saw that for sure.
Good for 5 extra horsepower. Every sticker you
Yep.
put on that thing. Just saying. The folks from Vansickle Pet Valu and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite 4-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Each grandstand ticket will also have a voucher that can be used in-store for a free pet bath at their dog wash stations. Drivers and crew members can also skip the line by purchasing pit passes in-store, giving them more time to get their rides ready for Saturday nights. Check out Vansickle Pet Valu across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20. That concludes the action from Merrittville Speedway. One more local racing night to talk about, and that was Humberstone Speedway. And just still waiting for the results of that one to go up on the Humberstone website. But we can say the Southern Ontario Sprint event that happened Sunday night. Dylan Westbrook wins another one. Takes it quite handily over the field, man. Like the Westbrook is on a tear, and he's really come home and he's beating up on the competition now, hitting his stride in this middle part of the season. Wins it over Ryan Turner and Mitch Brown. Uh, yeah, what did you make of that one?
I just think it's funny when I was co-host on the Race Rivals the other week. I busted Dylan saying that we got better around here, and then I think since I said that to him, he's been undefeated. So he's really showing us. But yeah, the track was just pretty heavy on Sunday. I think Mike Bowman, if you see his post on Facebook about Sunday, summed it up pretty good. Yeah, I was there. I had a rough night. Uh, they made us pack the track in hot laps. And the one thing I just got to get this part off my chest. If you're gonna have us pack in the hot laps, don't threaten us like we had just make every. We could have had hot laps. Like we didn't have divisions that night. We could have every division have hot laps and just roll it in nicely instead of threatening the sprint car division. I didn't get that one, but other than that, yep, just a little bit too heavy in the feature. I had to start last. If I would have been a little slicker, I would have felt maybe we could have moved to the field a bit better. I would have rolled it, but it just, I want to say one, like, it's funny, like, there was only for me doing all those passes on Friday night to rolling down the front straightaway at Humberstone and just taking the green and pulling off. There was only a $25 difference. So that's kind of why on Sunday when I didn't, because I'm getting up there on engine stuff, and like this is the last night this coming Friday that's going to be on this engine. Then we're changing it because we got a 2 week break or like a Friday off in between.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, getting up there on engine. So I saved the laps, but there you go.
Yeah, fair enough.
But the other division, Cody won Sportsman. I know that. Bleach
Yeah.
led the whole thing and got a flat. That was the big deal.
Yeah, he got a flat, and he also I don't know if he had the flat. It'll be interesting to go back and watch. I'm pretty sure this is going to air on GeForce Lite by the time this podcast is out, so you can go to GeForce on YouTube and go back and watch that. But I think the flat may have came after Cody had already got the lead, if I'm not mistaken. But I have to go back and watch to confirm that for sure. Either way, it was a pretty impressive move to watch Cody on a restart drive around the outside on what was pretty much again a one lane racetrack. Like I would say compared to the first night that we had at Humberstone, the track widened out a bit more on Father's Day compared to what we saw this past Sunday in the
Yeah.
makeup show. But that was also a Western Tour region event for the Dirt Car Series. So I believe that
One
makes
guy was there
Cody
from Jersey.
yeah,
That blew me away.
that was Princiata, I believe, that made the trip up
Something.
there.
Yeah.
So apologies if I'm saying his name right, but I said Princiata. That was how I pronounced it the whole night. So apologies if I got that wrong. But yeah, if you want to keep up with all the Dirt Sportsman division right now, Cody McPherson is starting out real hot in the Western Tour. Um, he's won what I think 3 races in a row to start the year on
Cody
the
winning
event.
races?
I
No.
know, right? Shocking. Who would have thought, right?
Yes.
But yeah, if you go to dirtcart.com/points, or you can click on the modified part at the top and click on Northeast Sportsman, go to the Western region, and that's where you're going to see most of our local guys from Southern Ontario, like Cody McPherson, who's currently leading it with 3 wins in 3 starts. Brett Sennick's at second in points. Nelson Mason is fourth in points. Shout out to Nelson. Nathan Peaty is fifth in points right now because he's been following that tour. Has made it to 3 events so far and is running consistently enough to earn those points to be up there right
Yep.
now. James Friesen is 7th in points. Billy Bleach Jr. is 8th. Taylor Vanderzand in 9th. Chad Chevalier, Justin Sharp also on the board. So, yeah, we'll just have to watch and see how many of our guys decide to stick with that Western region and continue to follow it. But always good to see one of our past guests, too, Dirk Hardeen. Was up in the booth on Sunday night as well. So got to chat with him and look forward to. I still have to figure out if I'm getting to the full Canadian swing or just Brockville. I think I want to try it. It's just a matter of whether the budget works out to do all 3 at this point.
Do it. Can't wait to watch you be Mr. Race Fan.
Yeah, well, if it's gonna be more than that, I'll be
Who
going
else?
on social media, go live from the pit area or something. I don't know what we're gonna do, but it'll be fun. Speaking of the Super Dirt Car Series,
Hold on.
oh, you gonna say something?
I just know who won the other 2 races for sure. Like Pete Reed won the Hoosier Stocks. Brent
Yes.
Bigelow won the Mod Lights, and who won Mini Stocks?
Oh, winner in the mini stocks was. Oh no, now I'm missing it. Who?
We'll
Oh, hang
forgive
on.
you. They all run together as an announcer.
I know. I'm literally trying to think of it right now, and I could. Hang on. Let me just open the results. Let me do it. Oh nope, that's my first night's Humberstone stuff.
You said they weren't up. That's the whole thing.
I'm checking my own notes. That's why.
Oh,
But I didn't do. I didn't do the write up this week. That's the other part.
right.
Dave Scully did that one. So that story should be up on the Humberstone website sooner rather than later. But let's see if I can't find my results
Man, you
here.
really forgot.
I literally so I'm not gonna lie. I have never had to call a race. I've called a race sick before, but I've
Mm-hmm.
never had to call a race night with a migraine.
Oh,
I left work at Hits FM, and I got home and I was like doing all the tricks I know. Like ice packs on the head, taking 2 of leaves, drinking all the water I possibly can, doing whatever I could. It could not get rid of this headache to the point where my fiance Kyra came home early from a girls' day that she was having, and she was like, "You know what? I don't trust you to drive right now. I think you need to just let me drive." So I was to the point that Kyra had to drive me out to Port Colborne from Niagara Falls. So yeah, I was in a bad way. So I think that's a big
Dang.
reason why I do not
Borderline wheeled
remember
you up
much
there
of
on a
it.
stretcher.
I I don't
Those
want
are
to
a
say
lot
I'm
of
a hero.
stairs.
I don't
Those
want
are
to
a
say
lot
I'm
of
a
stairs
hero.
when you got a migraine.
I don't want to say I'm a hero or nothing, but
You're
I
my
just
hero, so
it, I'm and this is good stalling as well as I'm still working away on grabbing these. Cole Hardy, finally, that's who it was. That's why it was a big deal too, because two-time track champion, as he told us on the show,
right.
has never won a race at Humberstone Speedway, and finally wins one on Sunday. So that was pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, he's an awesome guest.
Yeah, he was a great interview. So go back and check out the interview with
And
Cole.
congrats.
Yes, and congrats. I will try not to go to the racetrack with any more headaches through the rest of the year, knock wood, and then I can actually remember and get through all of these. So let's go to the Super Dirt Car Series from Big Diamond Speedway, which I have never
Yeah.
heard of this place. I'm not gonna lie.
Because you're still a little bit of a dirt car newbie. You're going to learn them all shortly. But it's like tucked away, they call it in the Anthracite district of Pennsylvania or something. Anyway,
Hmm.
Getchitsville, Pennsylvania or something. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was pretty tough. Pretty tough race, to be fair. Like, if I'm going to be critical, like the track took rubber about before lap 5 in the feature and was just around the bottom. And
So for the
yeah,
kind of newbies, what does taking rubber mean, and what does it
this is a
actually do for a
great
racetrack?
discussion because a lot of race car announcers out there, as I've taught you, I specifically taught you this because I hate when announcers mess this up. Like, there's a difference between when the track gets black slick and taking rubber. When it gets black slick, like when it does at Merrittville, that's almost called, like, some people will call it like a blue track as well.
Hmm.
But like, that is like driving on ice when it slicks up. And then that's when you can start passing, especially if there's still a little bit of bite way up top and a little bit of bite way down there. That's when you can move all over the track and even run the middle, and you can be 3 wide, and it's the best racing in the world. But that is like black slick. But then taking rubber, which a lot of, like, the only track of the 3 or 4 local tracks around here, including Ransomville, that does it is Ransomville. Sometimes I've seen it do it quite a bit, like sometimes on the long big block races and stuff, or like a sprint car night where they get lots of laps on the track. But that's where it goes black slick. And then because the track's a little bit more abrasive, the rubber from the tires, you got to run harder tires at tracks like that. It'll literally start picking up and laying down on a pavement track, like you see in NASCAR as they go along, and the rubber starts laying down on the track. That's what happens when it's taking rubber. And then at that point, it goes from super slick to gripped up again. So like, now you're a hero driving again. But the problem is, when it takes rubber, hardly ever does it ever take rubber in more than one groove. So then it just turns into a 1-lane train in the rubber. And if you miss it, it's literally like hitting black ice when you're driving on the highway and you're slipped up the track and about 5 cars blow by you on the bottom. So that's the difference between black slick, good, and taking rubber, bad.
So taking rubber is almost like, for some of us who are more familiar maybe with the pavement world, it's almost like when you see a bottom groove dominant short track, where like the
Mm-hmm.
minute you root a guy out of the bottom groove, he just gets freight trained because everybody's lined up around that one inside, almost like an old school Martinsville race,
Yep.
something like that, right? Or what you might see from like the Wheeling modifieds too on some of the tracks they go to.
Or yeah, like even like a good track you can really see a pavement track taking rubber, but it's a concrete track, is like Dover. You start the weekend, it's white, and by the end of
Yes.
the weekend, there's clear black grooves all over it. That's what it does, but on a dirt track. Only on abrasive tracks. Lots of tracks do it. Like, I see a lot of World of Outlaw tracks go there, and that's why you have to see a lot of tracks like farm it up before a feature because they don't want it to take rubber.
Hmm.
And yeah, rubber bad. Glad we don't have to deal with it very much around here.
Yes, thankfully we are pretty spoiled up
Yep.
in this part of the world. Taking a look at the results from last night, Anthony Perego gets the win over Matt Shepard, Matt Williamson, Mike Mahaney, and Peter Britton. That is your top 5. Um, and it kind of sounded like maybe Matt Williamson would have had a shot or two at Shepherd at points in the race, but it just was so
Well,
hard to pass, right?
exactly. He was in second. They got the lap traffic. He tried to go around a lap car, had to drive out of the rubber, slipped up the track. He didn't know how close Shepard was, so like through 1 and 2, I was yelling at him to like get to the bottom in 3 and 4. But he tried one more time to get him the lap car on the outside, and that's when Shepard squeaked by because like he survived through 1 and 2 out of the rubber, but then like he needed to tuck back in and take another. But then Shepard on the very last lap tried the exact same thing on the lap car, and Matt stuck it in there again. But then Shepard got the door closed in 3 and 4 instead of trying to stay out there because he already learned earlier from Matt. And then yeah,
Mm-hmm. And taking a look over the Super Dirt Car Series points, Matt Shepard currently up 38 points on Matt Williamson. Peter Britton is up to third in points. Darren Smith, Chris Heil. That is your top five
what's the
in the
gap
Super Dirt
between
Car Series.
second and third? I was thinking about that today. I didn't look.
Peter Britton is 59 points back. So, what, 21 points behind
Oh,
Matt?
that's not bad. That's not
Yeah.
much. I thought it'd be more.
Yeah, so the big thing is Matt's wins, right? Like, so in
Yeah,
6 starts, Matt's got 2 wins. Matt Williamson has 2 wins. Matt Shepard also has 2 wins, but it's the 6 top 10s that Shepard has to Matt and Peter's 5 that make the big difference. So
yeah. Matt's gap in points is from Lebanon Valley. I think he
yeah,
was, and then oh yeah, Orange County. Was that a dirt show? Yeah, Orange County. He
yep,
struggled too. Yeah.
yeah. So those 2 shows kind of cost him, but and well, you can read more about Matt's pursuit of a Super Dirt Car Series points championship and his battles with Matt Shepard in the latest edition of Inside Track magazine, courtesy me making my debut as a contributor to Inside Track magazine. So if you are a subscriber or you want to become a subscriber, I highly recommend you check out Inside Track and pick it up wherever you can find fine racing magazines. And look for my article on Matt Williamson. um, Oddly enough, the competition at Merrittville that he's had over the last few years and keeping him sharp to go and travel on the road. So, uh, either way, it was a cool thing to say that I've started to write and had a little piece on one of our guys be a part of a national racing magazine. So super cool stuff, and looking forward to hopefully people checking it out and let me know what they think. And then I think the next article. Uh, Next issue that you're going to see, we'll have an article about Travis's dad's race and how the Southern Ontario Sprints might have a new gold standard for what their purses should look like going forward. So that's going to be something I work on for the next edition of Inside Track magazine. Something else we should talk about involving not Matt Williamson, but Matt Shepard is who's going to be behind the wheel of his second race car next week.
Yeah, that news dropped today, Wednesday, when we were recording. That Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man, Mister Hail Mary, Mister Video Game Move, is gonna run a backup 9S at the Richie Evans Memorial. I forget what the day is, July 20th or something,
Mm-hmm.
at Utica Speedway. So it's next week.
And I'm trying to find out now. I think he's had experience in dirt late models,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if he's really run anything.
I saw one group wondering how hard he's going to run it, or if it's like an exhibition, or if he's going to run the race. But like, hopefully, he runs the race. Let's run the race.
Yeah, right. I don't think he's ever really had that much experience on dirt, and I don't think he's ever started a modified. So that's why I'm very
That's
interested
for
to
sure.
see what and how he performs in it. And the other thing too is that when I think of Ross, I don't think of a driver who hangs it out sideways. Like we were having a conversation today at work, where I'm going to throw you under the bus here, and this might offend some fans here, but you said that Jimmy Johnson might be one of the most overrated, successful drivers of all
Oh,
time.
I said most successful racer that isn't quite as talented
Okay, well,
as
however you want to
others.
say it, you can try to clean it up as much as you want, but I think that's a hot take, and I don't necessarily disagree with it because I'm a Jeff Gordon guy, and I will always say that Jeff's better, even though he doesn't have as many championships, but he's got more wins, and that matters. And was
Hmm.
able to win in his final year. So,
I
meh,
fully agree that wins are the nature of the beast in racing, and
100%.
like
That's the true measure.
championships are second fiddle.
Yeah.
Not
So,
second fiddle, but like
yeah.
to me, wins are. If I had a season where you won 4 races and you didn't win the championship, or a season where you won 0 races and won the championship, I'd take the 4 wins every day.
Well, that's kind of why a guy like Pearson is better than Petty, right?
Yeah,
which feels sacrilege to say that somebody is better than Richard Petty, but it actually is true. So, but yeah, I either way, I thought bring all that up to say that Jimmy Johnson is a guy who was known for driving a car on the edge of control, constantly sideways and loose, which I think would make for a good dirt racer, even though we never really saw Jimmy race anything except maybe he did one of the Tony
He did the
Stewart's.
prelude at the Dream,
Yeah, he
and
did
he
the Prelude to
stunk.
the Dream. Yeah. So that's the only thing he really ever raced on dirt. But I feel like if he tried a proper effort
And
at it, he would have been better at it than, say, IndyCar.
like there was always a debate: was it Chad Knos's car, which is known to be pushing the edge of the rules, or what is Jimmy's driving? And like to me, if he would have never done the IndyCar stuff, I would have never had that opinion. But in that IndyCar stuff, I'm gonna tell you right now, Kyle Larson on them road courses would do 100,000 times better than Jimmy Johnson does. Like not even close. You know what I mean?
Not
So
to
that's the
def-
only thing that made me bring that up because like he was so incredibly pitiful on them IndyCar road courses.
Not to defend him too much, but I do think his age was a big part of that as well. I think prime Jimmy Johnson would have been better, just like prime Kyle Larson would be pretty good right now. But anyways,
I
the
still think
point
Kyle Larson
is,
could wheel one of them cars on a road course when he's 70. But
I think Kyle Larson's gonna be able to do a lot
yeah,
at any
yeah,
point in his career. The point is, Ross Chastain is going to be racing at Utica Rome in the
right.
second
We got
Matt
off track
Shepard
there.
car. That we really did. That was a tangent and a half.
Yeah.
Uh, so, Ross Chastain in a dirt car. What's your expectation? What do you think?
Uh, Uticrome's a pretty tough track. If it's slick and a lot more drive it and set it and, you know, like kind of turns into more pavement, keep it straight when it gets slick. But if it's got some bite in it, he's going to struggle with it's going to be different for him because those cars, you really got to make them turn, especially when it's heavy. So
Well, the only other thing I will say and add to it is that I hope this opens the door to see more of the big time stock car drivers in the world try out modifieds and, in fact, center steer modifieds, as Ken Schrader likes to call them. Because we know there's plenty of guys who will try UMP, but I want to see a one of our proper modifieds get raced by some of those big guys. That
well, you just made all the
covers.
Brighton guys mad.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that it's just what we see more often. You guys do put on good shows when you come down here, though. I will say,
I know. I love all
right?
kinds of racing. That's the whole thing.
As long as it's on dirt.
Oh, that's one thing I was thought of too. Another topic. We
Oh,
can just
what's
touch
that?
it quick. Well, the Eldora Million's going on as we speak. We're about to
Mm-hmm.
see heat races literally as we speak right now.
Yep.
And last night was the Brad Doty Classic at Attica Raceway Park on Dirt Vision for the World of Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
And world-renowned announcer Johnny Gibson that everybody loves. And I personally am not the world's biggest fan of Johnny Gibson. Like when I just grown tired of him. I don't know. I did have that thing with his quick time, but I've heard it 100 million times now.
Quick
And
time.
heard it 100,000 times. Anyway, but like he wouldn't even acknowledge that the biggest race in the history of short track racing was going on the next day because it's not World of Outlaws and it's not Dirt Vision. It's Flow Racing and it's just out at Eldora. And I thought that was such in poor taste. I even chirped him on Twitter about it. Couldn't help myself because he had trouble with his motorhome today. So I said, "Hey, that's karma for not mentioning the Eldora, pretending like the Eldora Million didn't exist." Couldn't help it.
Yeah,
That's rough.
I do think sprint car racing is in this weird divide right now, and I think the World of Outlaws, like, yes, they want to protect having their stars come out to the majority of their shows, and I get why. Um, I get their reasoning and I get what they're trying to do, but sometimes you just have to acknowledge
Yeah,
and say certain events are special. Like in my opinion, I don't think these Eldora Million starts should count towards the World of Outlaws rule.
just because it's such a big deal and let them run for two other high limits. I totally agree. Or the fact that they counted tonight as one and not just it as one overall event.
Yeah,
That grinds my gears. Like,
yeah,
just this is one event that had two nights. Like, should have
hmm
been one event, but okay, whatever. It's two nights, but
yeah.
whatever. I don't see
I
what the big deal is letting them guys run a couple extra races, but
totally with you. Totally with you. I don't think it makes that different. And I think the other thing too is like, couldn't you make the argument that like Tony Stewart and Eldora have done a lot of stuff for World of Outlaws in
you
general,
think
anyways? So
it's the
you
first
think they
hundred
could
thousand
throw him a
dollar
bone?
race ever? Like, yeah, I know.
I don't
They
know.
should have just let this one not count. I agree, and then let them run four of the high limits. But
Yeah. We should probably wrap up. We got to get to our interview with Jason Fontaine. Let's just touch
yep.
on briefly, break down the situation from Southern Ontario Motor Speedway and
Oh
some of the
yeah.
testing and the penalties over there that got overturned this week.
It's just I noticed during the week Jay Cooker. was going to get DQ'd over, like, they let him go in tech or something, and then a group of 7 people got together and said they weren't going to race, and it was just a lot of motor drama. I'm only reading his side of the story on the Facebook post anyways. But it led to, like, the motor getting tore apart, taken to Gary Leach. He confirmed that it was okay. And what started, like, was all over, like, the 2 bolts that get drilled for the seal were just like one set or 1 or 2 sets of bolts back
Mm-hmm.
not in the normal place where most of them get them. And when they did put out the press release, they, after all that, they did end up declaring him the winner.
Yeah.
And so Mike Miller, my friend, he did take the heat for that. And on their press release, I guess that was his deal. I didn't even know he was there, but anyway, he took the heat for that. And just, yeah, pretty crazy ordeal there. Like 7 people got together and said they weren't going to race. It's just, that's the, yeah, I know racing can be, everyone, it's the summer, man. Everyone's, like we say, the heat's bothering us.
The
But
heat is
as,
definitely getting to you guys. The amount of
and then,
popping off
yeah,
I have seen on social
yeah,
media in the last little while, all you drivers need to calm down. It's easy for me to say as the guy who sits in the booth, but I did get yelled at go-karts up in Hamilton, which isn't even dirt racing, by like 3 different people the other day because I got
yeah.
rubbed because I was
You
racing
don't
too
got to work
aggressively.
on that
So,
thing.
exactly. Everybody's just mad right now. The heat is getting to everybody. So just the next time you want to take to social media and complain about something, take a deep breath and ask yourself if it really is contributing and making the
Or
sport better.
my way is to just do it in person and not involve other people on social media who can put their million 10 cents in.
And you
Unless
have a
it's like Clinton's deal is like, yeah, we want to talk about the volunteer thing. This could lead into the
yeah,
volunteer thing.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So track volunteer speedway in Bulls Gap, Tennessee, I believe. Uh, they just made this huge post this week, throwing social media under the bus, saying they're closing the doors and there feels like they're getting out of hell, closing the track, and it's all because of social media and all the negative comments and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just a lot of drama there. But like, to me, like how Clint always says, social media is a good thing, and like this, how, yeah. So like he always says, if you have a problem, go to him first, and then if that doesn't work, go to one other employee, and then if it's still a deal, and it's like if they blow you off, then go to social media. Which I'm totally in that way too. If you've got a problem with the track, just try to keep it to people's face.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you do get bad comments on social media, as long as you run a good, fast, efficient show and like you have a good backup plan or not excuse, but like explanation of what happened at the track that the person, then it's not really a big deal and you can overcome those. But like to totally blame social media for the track, not like that. Ohsweken's the opposite. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
thriving because of it. And there's lots of tracks like that too. But
I would
yeah, it's also
say
a hard deal. Yeah.
I would
But to
just say
blame social media, no.
as somebody who posts on social media for a racetrack and comes with content ideas and all that sort of stuff, and Merrittville has upped their game in terms of what we were trying to do on social media this year. I will say though, all publicity is good publicity. Like every
Yeah.
time you comment something negative on a post,
You're still
you're
commenting. Like
driving
all the Leafs.
traffic to that track. You're driving
Yeah.
people are going to see that post more often. So even if you're trying to take away from it, the best thing you really could do is not post or comment at all about any specific place
True.
because all interaction is good interaction. Every single interaction, whether it be a good comment, bad comment, or indifferent comment, technically helps drive engagement. So if you want a track to go under because you think it sucks and you hate it and whatever else, and you want to see them take a hit, the last thing you should do, honestly, is comment on their stuff. But I get it. I understand why people want to vent and whatever. But I think there's a lot more productive things that we all could be doing to make sure that racetracks operate as efficiently and as properly as possible. And like you
Yeah.
say, talking to the folks who actually are at the racetrack is probably the most effective way to infect change.
Yeah. Hating on the racetrack online is the same as Leaf haters. Like you're clearly a fan a little bit.
Yeah, you were complaining about the power play, but you said you haven't watched in 15 years. So
Yeah,
how do you know the
correct. Because
power
you
play
hate them.
sucks?
How
Exactly.
do you know the exactly same kind of thing?
Oh, on that note, let's get to a guy who had himself one heck of a weekend. 2 great performances between Maryville and Humberstone, and including a win getting the monkey off his back at Maryville Speedway. Jason Fontaine is our guest this week on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunder stocks, and mini stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series, on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANACURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing. All right, we are back on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast with the latest winner in the Street Stocks, Hoosier Stocks, Thunder Stocks, whatever you want to call them, at Merrittville on a Saturday night. Also, a solid P3 run over at Humberstone Speedway. It is the driver of the 1J, the Fonz, Jason Fontaine. Happy belated birthday as well to you, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
We appreciate you coming on the show. Talk to us about a pretty successful weekend for you and getting back into victory lane over at Merrittville.
Yeah, it was definitely one to remember. It was my birthday, so I usually, me and Dave have had some good battles on my birthday, and he's usually come out on top. He beat me in 2018 on the last lap, last corner. So this new car is definitely it's good now. We had some issues with it over the first couple weeks, but we've got everything figured out, and it's definitely a pleasure to drive.
So you talk about new cars. Like, did you build it or did you buy it from someone, or what car is it?
So
Yeah,
Todd
that's what I
Gordon built the
thought.
chassis. That's the one. That's the one to replace the chassis that we wrecked at Humberstone a
Right
couple
when you
years
hit the
ago.
wall in the backstretch or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Todd Gordon built it.
So, yeah, I was going to say,
Oh yeah.
and talk to us about the car, what you're feeling, what you're handling. Because, when I started at Merrittville, you were definitely one of the top guys. And I think through the pandemic, I don't want to say that you lost the step, but I think the step from you and the rest of the field to a guy like Dave Bailey was, for whatever reason, much bigger. But this year, it seems like everybody is right back in there, along with yourself. It seems like any one of you guys can win a Hoosier Stock event on a Saturday night.
Oh, 100%. My biggest issue last year was my kids they both race go-karts, so I spent a lot of time trying to learn that for them because I want them eventually to get into it. So there was really no time for the race car. It was usually a Saturday or a Sunday thing, and you got what you got. I'd take holidays, and I'd be able to spend a week on the car, and then we definitely would do better for a while. But
that's not the way to run a racing program. If you want to win in this class, you definitely got to be on the car at least 3-4 nights a week.
Yeah, it's every division like that these days.
Oh, the racing's been amazing around here this year for sure.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, you mentioned karting for your kids right now. How did you get your start in racing? Where did the driving career begin for you?
So my father ran Sportsman for 25 years at Humberstone and Merrittville. Drove his car. That used to be my birthday present from when I turned 15 till I got my own car. He would let me drive his car on his birthday, and then the last time I drove it, I actually finished third with it at Ohsweken, and then we got our own car. And from Freddie Court, and we were actually starting to build the car, and it wasn't going well. And I probably would have never started racing if it wasn't for Freddie, because he ended up wanting the Cutlass that I had, and he gave me a full blown Camaro race car. So that's how we got started.
Yeah, so I knew that you have driven Sportsman in your dad's car, but like for your career, like owning your own stuff, it's always been street stock.
25 years.
Yeah, you're like Pete Reed,
Right?
all street stock guy. Yeah, I love that though.
It's hard to get out of this class when the racing's so tight and that close, right? It's so fun.
Yeah, and it's still borderline affordable.
Yeah, borderline now.
Borderline now. Yeah, so I don't know if you heard our thing with Pete saying how like maybe an LS combo or something different with the crate motors getting crazy at a cost. Do you think that some way to keep costs down would be like something like that?
That's definitely something
on the street stock.
That's definitely something to take into consideration. If it's $8,500 for a crate motor now. That used to the going rate. They said the affordable rate used to be $3,200. So
it was when it started,
right?
and then it was an affordable deal back then.
$10,000 almost for a motor. That's definitely going to be, it'll probably be half the price of that. So that's definitely something to take into consideration.
So Fonz is on board,
and they're a lot more durable. They're a lot more durable too.
That's a good point too. I don't think Pete mentioned that point as much, because that was something that I always wanted to ask, is if you go that route with the LS, like, are you guys going to be able to get the same amount of mileage on them? And it sounds like in this case, they're actually going to be more reliable. They're going to be something that maybe you can buy once and maybe hang on to. And if it's properly maintained, you could get 2-3 seasons out of it.
Oh, 100%, because you could open it anytime. You know what I mean? It wouldn't cost you, like, you can open it and rebuild it every year if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
And you're like a mechanic by trade as well, so you're totally used to that. Yeah, kind of stuff.
That's right. Yeah. You know what I mean? That'd be totally up our alley. That's definitely be something to take into consideration.
I like it.
So talk to us about returning to Victory Lane of Merrittville. In the booth, we were trying to work it over, and it's the best that our stat man Fran could come up with was 2016 for a win for you on a Saturday night at Merrittville. But I felt like I could remember you winning more recently, but maybe I'm mixing up you here in Humberstone. So how long has it been since Merrittville?
2019.
19. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, because I was like, I could have sworn I called one of your wins, and I started in 2019.
That was, I think that was your first year there, wasn't it, Jonathan?
That was my first year there. Yeah, that was for sure. That's why I was kind of like, I could have sworn that I called. So Statman Fran got it wrong for once. I'm sorry, Fran. I hate to report that.
He sure did it. He's pretty good at that stuff. You know what I mean? He's got the info right here all the time.
Yeah,
he does.
So, but either way, still, even to get back after 2019, to talk to us about
Travis called my last win at Humberstone in 21.
Yeah,
with the new car.
Yep. That's leading into my next question for you. So, like, I've seen you win like 10, 11 shows in a season at Humberstone, and like you're track champion there and stuff like that. So, like, what's the difference between, like, you're not quite like that kind of dominant at Merrittville. So, like, what's the kind of difference between Merrittville and Humberstone, and why do you run Humberstone better? And, like, you know what I mean?
So in 2014, I won 27 features. I won 11 at Merrittville. I won 12 at Humberstone, and then I won every duel on the dirt race. So I just, you know what I mean? I never really used to race Merrittville all the time. Humberstone's like my backyard, so we would just go to Merrittville like on a Saturday night if we were just bored or something, right?
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, I love the track too. It's so challenging. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, but you're a Port Colborne guy,
yeah.
so
Humberstone's
technically,
literally almost in my backyard, right? I could throw a stone to it.
so 2014 was your year.
14, 15, and 16 were actually good years. 2015, I won 14 features. In 2016, I won 16 as well.
Nice. Yeah, I remember you got hot for really hot, like really hot. You're still winning
We're, al- we're
nowadays, but like
almost
back
we're
then you
almost
were really firing.
we're almost at the
Oh,
100 mark. We're 3 away.
wow.
Really?
All right.
Yeah,
Extra pressure's on.
yeah. Five champ.
Don't you shouldn't have said that. Now it's going to be on your head
It's been on. It's
when you get to
well, Sabo
yeah.
thinks about that all the time, so he reminds me all the time.
Sabo, yeah. Talk about him. He's been like your right hand man forever.
Oh, I couldn't do it without him. He usually works on the car during the day, and then we'll meet up at nighttime and we'll do our thing. But he's done so much for me.
And I want to ask about your nickname and who dubbed you the Fonz? Where did that come from for you to become the Fonz? Obviously Fontaine, like it kind of makes sense with your last name, but I want to know who gave you the nickname.
That come from my buddy Patrick Capercione probably when we were 15 in high school. I guess that was the easiest way because they used to call everybody by last name, and my last name was so long, so that's what he used to call me. And
I
then
like it.
it just stuck from
And
there.
what about the number? Why 1J? What was there another one in the class when you came in that where you're like, okay, I got to differentiate myself, or just from the get-go you wanted to have the J in there?
So I used to be number 50, and then when I first started, that was my dad's
Because
number.
that was your
I
dad's
took that
number.
number on, and then
Yeah.
I mean, I was just starting. We weren't really doing that good. And then we started moving up. And then we just thought, hey, let's change our number and see what happens. So Adam Ferry was my best friend. And he was 1F. So I didn't want to take 1F. So we went to 1J. And it's just stuck ever since then. 2001, I've had that since.
Okay. I got one for you. I remember watching on Facebook, like you had a trip from hell to Brockville once and you had to like rent a U-Haul truck. Give us that.
That was the best trip ever, actually. So
Holy.
we just decided we were going to go down there. And that was at the time I was with Andrew Blanchard from New Gen, and we took his 1986 Chevy with a 383 stroker in it. We get trucking down the highway, and we get literally to Grimsby. We blow a tire. We go to Cal Tire. We get 2 tires put on the trailer. We probably truck another 45 minutes, get to Mississauga, blow all the tranny fluid out of the transmission. Tranny was hot. So we do a tranny service in this parking lot at a Harvey Swish LA in friggin' Mississauga there. We get trucking back under the road and we get to Bowmanville, and that was it. We smoked the whole highway out. So we pull over to the side of the road. My buddy Dan Eden and Christine Porter, they say, well, there's a U-Haul right up the road. Let's go get one. So we go to U-Haul, and they had literally a 26-footer left. That was it. So we towed the car to Brockville. We went there. It was our first time ever going there. Everybody we pulled in, they knew our story. They were rooting for us. We went out. We finished second in the heat. Wicked track, by the way. And then we go out in the feature, and we actually got second. We almost won the race on the last lap. So it turned out to be a good trip. But, I mean, we didn't get home till 4 a.m. By the time we had to take the U-Haul back to Bowmanville there and get my father-in-law to come from Niagara Falls to pick us up with the stock car.
Man,
What
what
a
an
rip.
ordeal.
I
What a
mean, at
trip.
least it
Never
ended with
forget
a
it.
solid finish. I mean, it's one
Oh,
thing
yeah,
if you went all the way out there and you end up with a DNF or it doesn't go well,
right,
but at the very least you get a P2 out of it. That's not so bad.
for sure.
So I want to ask where you're at championship wise. What are you thinking? You're sitting 10th in points right now, but that win really gets you back into the mix with things. Do you care about track championships? Is that something you're still trying to track down at this point, or
I,
is all the focus on that 100 number?
well, the definitely the focus is on the 100 number. I would definitely love a championship at Merrittville. We've been so close, probably 2 or 3 times, but I guess it definitely won't happen this year, but we'll come out strong next year now that we know what the car's got. We had a couple bad DNFs at the beginning of the year, so that just takes it right there, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how just a couple nights at the beginning of the year can totally screw the complete rest of your year.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. What do we got? Okay, your paint schemes. Is that all your idea, or like because you've always got them super bright paint schemes?
That's all Sabo.
Sabo.
Yep. Hey,
Like,
That's so
get in
funny.
here. Join the podcast.
yeah, so like he
Oh,
just
he's in here.
Too. Look at it. There we go.
I was just working on the car, coming in and out, checking, making sure he gets through this. How we doing, guys?
good.
We're good, buddy. Good, buddy.
So you designed the paint schemes, and then Auto Effects puts them on, right?
We got TC Clark.
Oh yeah,
Trevor Clark.
right.
We did go to Auto Effects for a long time.
That's
but
what I thought.
Yeah, it does. As long as it looks good, it's all that matters.
1700 starts to take a toll after a while, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why my car's basic as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor makes him look good, though. He's one of the best around. He's been doing cars for ever since I've been racing. He did probably my fourth or fifth car from on, and we had him up until 2012, 2013, before we went to Auto Effects for probably 5 years.
Yeah. Always looks
But
good,
Tim,
though.
Tim and the gang always do a good job, too.
But now that you got the Fonz in the one, that's what makes it now.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
That's been my trademark since
2015.
2015.
Man, we're getting old. It doesn't feel like
Right?
that long. Yeah.
I know.
That's why I was thinking about the fact that I called you or the last time you won, I was calling a race, and I was like, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. And then I say 2019, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, it was kind of
4
a long
years
time
ago.
Well,
Okay.
4 years ago.
Give us a good story from your childhood, watching your dad, watching your hero, something.
what's the best memory
Yeah.
from your family?
What is the best memory? So, my dad wrecked the car at Humberstone one Sunday, and then I worked on it all week. He worked all week, and then the car was trashed. I literally put the car together by myself, and he come home Friday at lunch, and I said, Dad, we're going racing. He says, yeah, okay. I said, I'll have the car done for you when you get home. So he gets home, gets the car done. I had the car done. I'm like, back up to the trailer. Let's go. He's like, okay. And we ended up going there, and he finished third. It was a big race, and it was just me and him, literally.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good story.
So was that a summertime issue?
97.
Was that a summertime thing, or did you have any school you had to skip out? Like, what are we talking about in terms of your life point at this point? Were you skipping school to make sure that car was ready?
No, I would have been 17, and we were actually, school was done. So I think it was mid-July.
So 1997, would that have been a down tube era, or what kind of car would that have
That
been?
was a Rob Lettingham chassis.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Our hero.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to get Lettingham on the pod. He ignored my message last time.
Really?
Uncle Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
he loves to talk.
I know. We got to get him on.
Oh, yeah. I'll send him a message. I'll tell him.
Nicest guy in the world.
100%. He sure is.
One of my best friends.
All right.
That's an awesome one.
You got...
You got one, Travis, or you want me to hit him with the question?
Well, you just said Adam Ferries was his best friend. You want to talk about him a little
Yeah,
bit?
let's talk about the relationship with Adam Ferry for a
Yeah,
second.
because I raced against him a bunch.
He was the best, man. He very, very smart character. Always came out on top, and he always kept his cool and drove the wheels off it. You know what I mean? He was definitely, I think he was 110 wins. He won championship in every class he's been in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about the emotions from Saturday night, because when you go the stretch that you went without winning one, did it start to feel like, was it creeping in like, have I had my last win? Am I really going to get back to this point? What was kind of going through your mind when you got back to victory lane after the absence?
I used to think that all the time, Jonathan. You know what I mean? Like, am I washed up? Should I just give it to my kids? And then I'm like, we'll just give it this year. And then Saturday, the last lap, literally going through turn one, my leg was shaking.
Can relate.
Shaking. Yeah. But definitely my son, Ryan, he's got a passion for racing, and he's been waiting for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He loves it. So he's one of the reasons why I still do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to get those checker
Oh.
flags and get those moments with him, and then pretty
Af-
soon it's gonna go the opposite way, and it's gonna be you
Yeah.
freaking out because you got to watch him hoist the checker flag, right? So
I can't wait.
I have
Savannah's our one.
this Friday is my last race, and then we're off at Ohsweken next, and I'm coming to go-karts next Tuesday. So because you said you spent all last year learning those things, I'll help you out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we'll get you
Perfect.
dialed in.
the
sweet.
guy was helping me for my one start in go karting, and I was like, I'm in the fun class, buddy. Like I'm literally just trying to make sure.
Well,
I
it's
don't
all
crash.
tires. Like I always tell people, go-karts at the track is more work at the track than a sprint car because of the tires.
100%.
1,000%. You're nonstop working at the cart on a cart at the track.
They got 3 sets of tires because every time they come off the track, you got to clean the tires.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. It's nuts. Like I say, it's literally more work at the track with a go-kart than it is if you're having to like as long as nothing goes wrong on a normal Saturday night, you're working on a go-kart more than you are a big car at the track.
Oh, 100%. I
It's
work up a
nuts.
sweat every night, boys.
I know.
It's a good thing that I want to get into start my own go kart program here now.
Yeah, better learn about tire dope because it's legal in go-karts.
That it sure is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the tire dope in go-karts, don't even bother going.
Yep. It's truth.
Well, I will. That's to put it in the mental notes whenever I get this program actually off the ground in terms of running a kart team. But let's get you out of here on this one, Jason. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I'm gonna give you one car, one racetrack to drive at the rest of your life. It can be anything you've driven in the past and anywhere you've driven in the past, or it could be a complete total fantasy dream ride. What's the combination you're picking?
Sprint car,
Nice. I'm
Eldora.
watching that right now. Are you watching that too? You need
No.
full racing, bro.
I had a hard enough time getting on here. I can't do 2 things at once
Well,
on this
just
thing.
the heats. You're not going to miss them.
Yeah, no, the big
Perfect.
shows
I'll be
tomorrow
watching it
anyway,
when I
so-
go home, though.
all right,
Yeah.
Jason. Thanks for taking the time. Best of luck the rest of 2023 and chasing the big 100 in the 1J. That's Jason Fontaine on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night.
And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.